Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. My name is Fulvia, and this evening I'm starting something new. As you can see, it's a new show called the Spiritual Chat Show. In this series of show, I will be having guests. Good evening, Christine. Thank you for joining. And I will be having a series of guests, and they will be joining, talking about um, different subject matter of their choice. And these subjects obviously are might be related to spirituality or not, but somehow they might intertwine. And good evening, June. Thank you for joining. Good evening, Sarah. Thank you for joining. And this is the first episode, and we start off with a bang because my first guest for this evening is Veronica Jenkins. I'm sure that um, a lot of you know who Veronica is, and Veronica is the creator of this channel, Universal Spiritualism. Also, she has another two pages online on live psychic readings, and Find Me a Medium. But I would like Veronica to tell you about her more than me. So, um, can I invite Veronica to come in on screen now? Hello, good evening, Veronica. Thank you for
Hi,
being
Fulvia.
here with me.
Thank you for inviting me. And hello,
Um,
everybody that's joining us.
okay. As I was saying to you, as I was saying, everybody, Veronica is she started her work as a medium 30 years ago, and at the same time she worked as a teacher, deputy head teacher, and then head teacher in a school. And apparently the two, she at the same time she got married, she had a son, so she was juggling a lot of things at the same time. She was part of a committee in a church, a president actually, the president actually of the committee, and then we arrive to 2019 when Veronica's life takes a different direction all of a sudden, and um, the pandemic, the lockdown, everything changes for Veronica from one side of her life. And I would like Veronica to continue about what happens during the lockdown, Veronica.
Okay, thank you, Fulvia. I ended up needing to take ill health retirement in November 19. And within 3-4 months of that, the world went into lockdown. And what I thought would be a nice quiet retirement ended up being the total opposite. I'd had an online presence for many years, and just in the background though, and just I like just linking in with other spiritualists and seeing what they were doing and things like that. And then when lockdown happened, my first thought was, well, how are people going to get to church? All the churches got
Yeah, everybody thought that, I think.
yeah, absolutely. So how's that going to work? And I was thinking, well, with the lockdown, there was fear of the pandemic, and thousands of people did lose their lives very sadly. And the impact on family and friends of that would be enormous. And at a time where people needed spiritual support and comfort, there wouldn't be any sources of mediums for them.
Exactly, yes.
I started seeing, just because I linked into so many people, just the odd church saying that they were going to put an online service on, or the odd medium saying that they were going to do a live,
Yes.
Um, and then I thought, well, somebody needs to sort of put these together
Put
so people
put
can
all
follow
to
them.
this information together, yes.
That's
And
right.
I remember, ladies and gentlemen, I remember, going on Facebook and seeing Veronica posts about all the online services and in which churches.
Yeah, and that's right. So what started just as sort of, I think I only had about 4 or 5 events in a day. Well, I look back, because now I still do my lists, but there's sort of sometimes 70 events in any one day online. It's a whole different world now. Online. There's everything and anything that you want to experience online in the spiritual world now, where in those early days you had the odd reading and that was about it, or the church
Yes.
services.
I
um,
guess the pandemic, going online changed everything, was a game changer because everybody now we can meet people from all over the world.
Absolutely. And initially people didn't know how it would work either, and whether they could do mediumship online. And there is still, people that go to the churches and do private one-to-one readings that won't even touch online services.
I
um,
see.
and even myself, in those very early days, I thought, how on earth is this going to work? But then I saw other mediums working, because I took out a Zoom account, and I offered to different churches, do you want me to help you get online? Because they didn't have the technical side, even though they had the organisational and the links with mediums that they usually worked with. So there was quite a few different churches that I was helping that have all gone back into
Yes,
their own
because
physical
the,
world now. So there's only Carterton that I still help now online in terms of their church services.
I
But
see.
I gave it a go myself, and it was just exactly the same. Exactly the same. The biggest difference is actually the Facebook Lives, because you don't get the response. You've got a 30-second delay sometimes with your sponsors, so you just can't wait. And it's been an interesting aspect that's actually improved my mediumship, because I've just had to trust spirit and just
Yes,
okay,
yes,
just keep on going with the information. And the more you give the information, the more they give you. The more information they give, so that's fine. So
okay.
it's quite amazing how everything and the different countries
Evolved.
now as well. Because initially I didn't used to find anything from America or Australia, New Zealand, and now you've got stuff coming online from all over the world. And
Yes.
whether it's just me linking it, finding it, and linking in with it, I don't know, but it's a very different world. And if there's anything spiritual that you want online, there's development circles, there's practice circles,
And
there's
this
chat
is,
calls like this, there's
yeah,
just
and
everything.
this is great. But let's get now to March 2025. What happens in March 2025, ladies and gentlemen? Veronica, in the meantime, decides to write a book, and it's published in March 2025. And the book is Universal Spirit.
Oh, you can't see it. Oh, it's having a background on it, won't show.
Yeah. Oh, Universal Spirit Awakening, a spiritual guidebook to accompany your journey. And for those who are listening the live now, I would highly recommend you to buy this book because what you read on the cover is exactly what you find, what you read in the book. It's a guide towards um, the awakening, the spiritual awakening. But Veronica will tell us more about it. And Veronica, what did you decide to write this book?
I was very aware that the people were going into mediumship development and online and stuff, and I wasn't seeing anything about the beginnings of looking at self and spirit and being aware of your own spirit. Never
Which is
mind other people's
it's a very
spirit.
important aspect.
Absolutely, and it was kind of being missed out, and I thought, and I, you know when you've got spirit, sort of give
Yes.
a nudge and go on. So yeah, it was a combination, like at the beginning of lockdown, where it was that inner self, that spirit sort of giving you a nudge, somebody's got to do it, why not you, get on with it kind of thing. And the same with the Awakening book, that there was a gap there that needed to be filled, and and to try and get people to be more aware of self and their own spirit and start to question deeper about their relationship with God, about their relationship with their own spirit and higher self.
Yeah.
Because just because you're a medium doesn't mean that you have the understanding of any of that. And
That's
actually,
true.
that's your bigger journey. And there's a massive, massive difference when people talk about being on their spiritual journey and what's their spiritual journey. For me, your spiritual journey is about your spirit and the evolution of your spirit. It is not mediumship. That
Only. Yes.
you can be a medium without being spiritual at all. History is full of mediums from all sorts of backgrounds, all sorts of religions. It's part of the history of human beings that you have people that are able to communicate with spirit. But what
But
is really is important is the evolution of your own spiritual journey, and that's what Awakening is about.
that's great, Veronica. That's great. I found this book very, very informative. There were things that I knew at the back of my mind, but I kind of now I'm seeing these things kind of from a different angle, and so very informative. Is there also, I guess you answered the part of this question as well, an underlying message as well?
Yeah, I suppose.
Before,
Yeah, there is really. It's about know yourself. Be on your own spiritual journey and understand the human part of you, to understand why your spirit, your soul, your higher self, whatever level you want to consider that, has put you in this lifetime in this human body with the experiences that you're having, and it's the exploration of that. And isn't that so much more exciting and so much bigger and so much
Yeah.
more magical than just speaking to somebody's grandmother? And I'm
Yes.
not belittling that, because that's
No,
so
absolutely.
important.
That's important
You know,
as well. But
our own journey is the magic of it. Being able to communicate with loved ones brings solace, it brings healing, it brings connection, and it brings a kind of peace to some people, and
yes,
a massive amount of healing. And
yes,
that's why I love mediumship. But the excitement and the magic is in your own spiritual journey and understanding self and understanding what you're
would
doing
you
here.
would you say that also being on this spiritual journey with, knowing our spirit, and you know doing this work, which is not easy, by the way, it's also healing.
Yes. Yeah, it's very much healing. Um, we come, people will call it what they want. Some people call it soul contracts, but you come into this human existence with a kind of plan as to what your spirit, your soul, your essence wants to experience and wants to learn through your human journey. Exploring that and what it is that your essence has wanted you to experience and learn, it is really, really powerful stuff. And
Yes.
recognizing all the different aspects of that. And it's like an onion. You take one layer off and you think, right, I understand that. But as soon as you take one layer off, there's another layer there, and another layer and another layer. So it's a never-ending journey. As long as you're on this earth plane in your physical journey, you will keep finding the layers of the onion.
In infinite, as we are. Okay, thank you, Veronica. Michelle is asking, Michelle, the title of the book is Universal Spirit Awakening, a spiritual guidebook to accompany your journey. And by the way, before the end of the hour, I'm going to repeat this and where you can buy the book. Um,
It's
okay,
Fulvia, it's actually on the strap line at the bottom. So people can see it on the strap line at the bottom of the screen.
okay. Michelle, you can see the book on the strap line here, the yellow line at the bottom, below myself and Veronica, basically. Okay, now next. Um, what is or who is the universal spirit? For those who are starting their awakening journey right now, how would you define, is if it can be defined?
Right. Each has their own personal religion, belief, whatever. Okay. And universal spirit is another name, another way of saying God. But it depends upon your background, your religion, growing up, of what you then perceive God to be. And I was very much guided away from using the term God, because there's so many connotations because of people's belief systems and knowledge bases. And therefore, God, the term God didn't seem to be right. And universal spirit says what it is on the tin. It's
Yes.
spirit that's universal. It's within us, part of us. We are part of spirit, that God force, whatever you want to call it. So that's why I use that phrase, universal spirit. There is history, there is other people used that term before, but it just seemed the right thing, and that's what I was guided to use instead
That
of
was the one
the.
that most resonated with you.
Yes. Yeah.
I also noticed I read also in the book that you explain how the universal spirit is not only within us but in everything that surrounds us in this dimension. There are other dimensions. Would you like to tell us more about that?
Well, if there's life force in the existence, then that is part of God. That is part of the universal spirit. If there is a life force in it, so if there are animals, any kind of insect, any kind of creature at all, any sort of living being, any part of nature, trees, plants, anything with any sort of life force, that is part of the universal spirit. And that's why we can be drawn to nature so much for our grounding, because it is our part of us
Yeah.
that connects through universal spirit to nature. Of course, Michelle, of course, it's okay to be Catholic and spiritual at the same time. Yeah, I'm sure sort of that within every single religion on the earth, there are extremely spiritual and very deep thinking and very deep caring and very deep connected spirits and souls. So it doesn't matter what religion your spirituality expresses itself in. My spirituality expresses itself out in spiritualism, but you don't have to be a spiritualist to be spiritual at all. You don't have to have any religion really to be spiritual. If you have a connection to other people and you're deeply caring and you live life with love, then you're a spiritual person.
Would you tell us about your personal experience to awakening, Veronica?
It's one of those things when I first came across the term awakening and looked at it, because it's a very Americanized term, really. I thought, well, hang on. I've always thought deeply about these things. I've always had that sense of connection to everything, kind of thing. It's weird. So, and I can remember from being a very small child, sort of thinking to myself about who I was, what my place in the world was, what my connection with everything was, and which is really unusual.
Yeah,
So,
for a child it is actually.
yeah,
Yeah, how old were you?
I, um, I can remember those thoughts in my bouncer. Okay,
Oh, wow.
so I feel that I came into the world with a sense of knowing that there was more, and sense that I was part of something much wider
Bigger
and broader,
than.
and questioning everything all the time. I was a very
Oh,
strange
yeah.
child.
No, my gosh, no, no.
Oh, I was.
And Veronica, do you think that everyone experienced the awakening in the same way, or
No, everybody's on their own journey in their own way. Thank you ever so much, Christine, for that. Everybody on this earth has come into their physical being and their physical journey as a different aspect of spirit. And as such, they have their own unique, incredible, wonderful journey to have. And therefore, no two people would have exactly the same awakening experience, because no two people are the same. We're all different in very different ways.
Exactly. And when we start this, this journey of awakening, there are certain part of this journey that are really important. They are all important, but there are. What can you tell us about the so-called shadow work?
Well, it was actually a psychiatrist, psychologist, Freud, that coined the term shadow work, and it's very much looking at the aspects of ourselves that are in shadow and therefore in our subconscious. And it's about examining those aspects of ourselves that have been created, evolved, developed from childhood onwards, from the reactions of others and the treatment and the words of other people. And each element of our interactions with other people can be negative or positive. The positive ones rise us up, the negative ones often build walls and build responses that are automatic responses. And those responses can be anger responses, there can be hiding away responses. And it all comes down to the way the brain is wired, because the brain, like any mammal, has a fight or flight reflex. And as soon as your brain senses there is a danger, it either runs away from that danger or it fights that danger. And our childhood relationships and our adult relationships all are triggers to that fight or flight reflex if they've triggered it. And the thing is, the brain remembers them. So if the brain has been prompted that this situation means you run away and hide, well, usually that means you go on inside yourself and hide away inside, and you become quite closed off. You can suffer depression and things like that. Whereas the fight reflex comes out as anger and fighting and aggression. And therefore, you will often see people who have been triggered get very angry very quickly. And if you ask them, well, why are you so angry, other than them being angry at the fact that you've asked them, will not really be sure why something triggers that anger so much. And without actually doing the shadow work to realize what has become the trigger for that from their upbringing, they won't know. And by doing the shadow work and finding out these aspects of the relationships that we've had and the way that we've been trapped and the way that we've learned to be in ourselves, then we won't be able to escape those triggers without actually doing the shadow work.
Yeah. And how the shadow works links with the spiritual, what is the impact of not doing the shadow work, or
Well,
still.
the impact is that you respond from what would say gut reaction, just automatic reactions without actually reflecting and realizing that actually these are just responses that you have learnt to give, rather than actually the spiritual response. And the spiritual response might just be peace, it might be giving love, it might be just trying to calm everything down. But as long as you've got a sort of feeling,
Yeah.
whether it's to run away or to fight, then that is your trigger to say to you, where's this coming from? What part of my shadow is trying to tell me? What do I need to learn from this? And that is part of your spiritual journey, understanding and learning what these emotions are. Because if you can understand it in yourself, you can understand it in other people, and therefore be more loving, giving, supportive of other people. And you can understand it in spirit. So when a spirit comes through and is talking to you as a medium and giving you senses and feelings as a medium, then you are able to understand and reflect on a deeper part of their messages and a deeper part of who they were on their human journey.
Thank you. Thank you, Veronica. Thank you. Great answer. The book is also full of science.
I like science.
Me too. Me too. And you talk about the quantum entanglement
Yeah.
and how is relevant.
It's an element of exploration with that, because with quantum, the theory behind it is that you've got one subparticle that, once it's set up either in a spin or a direction, whatever it is, then if it is connected to another quantum element at that point of the spin being developed or whatever it is, then no matter how far apart they are, they will respond to each other.
And that proves
straight away, for me, that links in with the whole avenue that actually, is this a route through to proof of spirit? Because we are quantum beings, we've got physical reality. What happens if what the actual nature of spirit is that spirit is the other side of that quantum element, and spirit is, by our reactions and interactions and beings and thoughts and just feelings and everything is then being reflected in that other quantum element, wherever that is, and that being an interconnectedness of what spirit is. And the point that our physical being dies, then that spirit element, that spirit quantum element is still in existence, doesn't die with the physical body, but retains all of the information that was created through the human journey that we've been on.
all the memories or and leads me to the next question, because you also explored reincarnation.
Yeah.
I am a great believer in reincarnation, and I was really, you know, um, amazed when I read that maybe one day would be possible to prove reincarnation. Could you
Well,
tell us?
there's anecdotal evidence of reincarnation anyway, in that you
Yeah.
get young children talking about their previous lives, and there has been some research done, and it's left people who've done the research scratching their heads, because they've been able to describe parts of their lives, the people that they were involved with. They've even called them their wives and things like that. So there is anecdotal evidence of reincarnation.
Yeah, there are many, yes, that they could be validated, most
Yeah,
importantly.
yeah. But it's for me. it's more, it's how you view your spirit. Now, if you view your spirit as just being individual and separate from God, from universal spirit, and that separateness goes into a body, grows up, that body dies, and then it attaches to another physical being. I don't actually have that kind of belief of reincarnation, because spirit is connected to the universal spirit. So there's elements where our spirit becomes part of the whole, and that part of the whole then refracts back into different lifetimes, different experiences within. And that could be a tree, it could be an insect, it could be any life force, because of the experience that life force gets. Michelle, no, I wouldn't say that, because there isn't such thing, for my belief, there is no such thing as earthbound spirits. I've never ever come across an earthbound spirit. All spirit is part of the universal spirit that is around us, as part of us all anyway. So I don't believe in earthbound spirits at all. I think that's a lot to do with Hollywood and certain
Yes.
religions that pump fear into people, and things like that. I've not experienced it. What I have experienced is people who aren't aware of their shadow side, and their shadow side can give the kind of impression of being separate from the person. I don't know who told you that, Michelle, and there's a lot of people out there that talk a lot of nonsense, but that talk is often from their own belief systems, because that's what they were taught to believe, or they watch too many movies, horror movies, you know. So no, yeah, no. Spirit is spirit. They're in place of light and love, and
Yeah.
what is evil other than negative things that happen in the physical world? They're not happening in the spirit world.
No,
No,
certainly not.
no. And people have this fear as well, and they will say, oh, it's an evil spirit that I'm feeling. Invariably, it's just not. It's not. What happens is, going back to that fight or flight reflex in the brain. And if you're developing medium, or just have a slight awareness of spirit, then you don't always understand the different energies that are coming through. And because your brain is not understanding them, it's giving you this fight or flight reflex. And that flight reflex is part of fear. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're not understanding the energy. Absolutely, ascending butterfly, it is an illusion, because it's just
Yes.
your body creating a sense of fear because it's something unknown. And the minute you start to actually understand the energies and go into the energies and feel the energies, and the energy of love, of light,
Yeah.
it's just that you're not trained, you're not developed enough to actually feel the love within that. Your brain is just saying, this is something I don't understand. It doesn't feel right. I'm frightened. And
It's our human side basically that responds other
absolutely,
than our spirit.
absolutely. And within that, the shadow side has a lot to do with it as well. If you haven't done your shadow work, then you won't understand what your brain is telling you is wrong in a situation. And where it goes really wrong is with the shadow work, and you get mental health issues, and all sorts of things can go wrong. And you just read Freud to see the impact that the shadow can have on the human brain and perception.
Yes.
And what I'm being given by spirit there is that that some people will talk about seeing a shadow with a black hat on in their bedrooms that's filling them with fear and all the rest of it. That is part of your own psyche projecting out to create fear. And there's an easy way to overcome it. You switch the light on and go downstairs and make a cup of tea and it goes away. And that shows you how little power any of those things have. Because the minute you go back into the real world rather than your dream state or state of fear, and just stick the kettle on, make a cup of tea, talk to somebody on the phone, it goes.
Yeah.
And it
Could
shows
it be also... Sorry, Veronica.
No, that was it. Sorry.
Could it
No,
be
Michelle,
also...
I don't believe in evil. Sorry, I've just seen Michelle's
Yeah,
comment.
I read
don't
Michelle.
evil spirits at all.
No, we don't, Michelle. We don't believe in evil spirits.
No.
Could it be, Veronica? Could it be, the shadows, the dark shadows, being part also of a belief system that maybe someone hears about this and then they kind of...
Absolutely. It's like Ouija boards, right? Ouija boards. People have this fear of Ouija boards because they've been brought up that it's evil and nasty things happen with Ouija boards, right? Now, you put a teenager who's got all of this fizzy energy around them that can actually have physical interactions with a Ouija board. All of the fear and misconceptions and just beliefs is then directed into the Ouija board. And then you're surprised that it comes out with weird and nasty messages. Sleep paralysis is very straightforward scientific thing. Just before you go to sleep, your body pumps a hormone around your body to get it into the sleep state. What happens with sleep paralysis is that your body is pumped full of that hormone, but part of the job of the hormone is to switch the conscious mind off, and it doesn't. But your body's still gone into that sleep state because the hormone is being pumped around it. Okay, so there's a straightforward, everyday explanation of sleep paralysis. Just Google it on scientific papers rather than reading wonderful websites that want to create fear.
I also found, you wrote about different traditions from all over the world, and it's amazing how each tradition conveys the same message. Of the message of interconnectedness. And could you tell us a little bit about this, about the different traditions?
Of course. And could I just respond to Michelle first, because she's got a specific thing. What would you say about slamming cupboards in a kitchen and making someone feel frightened when they weren't even thinking about anything to make them feel scared? Thinking is your conscious mind. A lot of stuff is in your subconscious mind, so you're not even aware that it's happening. Michelle, often where you've got circumstances of the kind of paranormal experiences that you're having, you've got a teenager who is going through absolute hell in themselves, living in that house. And as I said, the fizzy energy that can translate into physical mediumship. You get mediums who sit for donkey's years in physical circles, trying to get trumpets to play, trying to get things to move, to tip tables and all the rest of it. When really all they need is a really upset teenager to come and touch something and go bang, you know. Invariably, within a house where you've got that kind of paranormal activity, you've got a teenager who's really messed up at that point and their energy is just going wild. So sorry. So you said about the
All the, the traditions, the different
yeah.
tradition that you mentioned in your
And
book.
it's like the older, the further back you go in human history, the more connected the religions are with spirit as such. So paganism, you're going back thousands of years. You look at Aboriginal peoples, and again, their culture is thousands of years old. And it's those kind of cultures that have their dream time, that have their real deep roots in spirituality and interconnectedness of everything. Usually a lot of links with spirit animals and totems and things like that. It's more the modern day religions where they've come from politics more than anything else. I mean, even looking at the Bible, it was the meeting of Nicaea in 400 AD that where there was a group of men, not women, men sat together and decided what books were being put into this new book called the Bible. And that there were certain teachings of the time that weren't included because they weren't in line with what those men wanted that religion to say. Your cats have been attacking things that aren't visible. Cats do that anyway, Michelle. Sorry, I don't mean to dismiss that, but every time stuff like that happens, I pray, okay, I just tell them to go away, Michelle. Stop it, because actually, if you don't have teenagers or children that living with you, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but how much of that energy is coming from you? How emotionally out of sync do you feel at times, and how way off with your own energies do you actually feel? Because it could be a projection from self in some way, that, and actually to control it is just switching off from it. And if something like the door of the kitchen slams, just say, stop it, I'm not having it. And it's as much to yourself than anything else. And go into a different room, put the telly on and do something different and distract your own brain. And hopefully,
yes, because they feed from energy. So if you give them your energy,
well, not them, because it's you, but
yeah,
it's not separate from you. There's not, your eldest son thinks that you're feeding into it. And if your son, who knows and loves you best, is saying that, maybe they need to sit and take some time to reflect on how you are and how invested you are within this, and whether you can just switch it off by switching yourself off, if you know what I mean, just bringing yourself down and calming yourself down. How much meditation do you do? How much shadow work have you done to explore what deep-seated anger issues you've got? Because often it's anger that has that energy that becomes physical.
He said that I'm making it happen because he lives with me and has seen things as well.
Yeah. Okay. But as I say, do work on yourself in terms of do meditation, do relaxation techniques, do you know your self-support checks of how you're feeling and what is going right that day, and doing affirmations that it's a good day, you're going to have a cracking day today, and giving yourself positive, uplifting energy rather than being sucked down into any negativity, because negativity and anger is where this physical energy lies. The lower your energy, the more physical it is. Yeah, where when you sit in energy of light and love, it raises up spiritually, and therefore it doesn't have that same physical impact. Do you see what I mean? Yeah, Michelle, absolutely right, which is why I started. So, with if there's anything paranormal that you feel uncomfortable with or any of the rest of it, just stop and go and put the kettle on, distract yourself, go and talk to a friend on the phone, do something that's going to occupy your mind, make some cakes, whatever it is, but don't pay it any attention, just leave it alone, because what you make is your focus there, it creates your reality there, kind of thing.
Okay. And the book, the book contains also a lot of practice exercises
It
for
does.
each chapters. At the end of each chapters, except for the last one, there are practice exercises to put in practice what what the chapter is about. For example, the first chapter is the call to awakening. At the end of this chapter, there are practice exercises. Why did you think to put the exercise as well?
I'm a
It's
teacher.
really it's really a good combination of theory and practice.
I'm a teacher. It comes naturally. The first thing, um, the way people learn is you get the information, but then you need to work with that information to absorb it and to process it. So just reading about something doesn't change you as much as by actually processing that information and working with it and doing something with it. And that's why you've got the exercises, because that's what will make the change. And I know, Michelle, there, you tell it whatever it is to leave, but they don't, because you're still focused on it. They don't stop because you're not stopping thinking about it. Okay. Do every time something happens, get me book. Tell you what, there's the solution. Every time something happens, get the book and do one of the exercises. Just flick through it and say, right, I need an exercise. I need to occupy my mind. What exercise am I going to do? And do that exercise for the next half hour. Okay.
And Veronica, would you also tell us about the link between spirituality and psychology? How important is to have the right mindset
Okay.
to do
I,
self care?
I knew you were going to ask this, and I'd actually got the quote that I wanted right here. Right. We see the world not as it is, but as we are. So as we see ourselves differently, we see the world differently. Yeah.
Yes.
And as we see ourselves, and this brings us full circle to what we were talking about right at the beginning, the more we know ourselves, the more we touch our own spirit and understand our spirit and understand our spiritual journey. So the journey as the spirit in this lifetime, in this human journey, is the journey that you are taking as a human being to spirit through self-awareness, through your shadow work, through love, through relationships, through service, through giving. Okay?
Got it. I choose another quote from William Blake, which basically expresses the same concept. Um, uh, and I do understand what you mean by that. Um, okay, yeah.
Michelle, sorry, before you give the William Blake quote, it's interesting that you've put, so am I seeing myself as being evil somewhat? You have actually asked yourself that question, okay? By asking us, you're asking yourself that, aren't you? I can start off by saying you are not evil in any shape or form, but have a think about what your life experiences, what you have been taught religious-wise in terms of evil and good, whether as a child that you might have picked up the thought that you have evil within you. And because you've already told us you're Catholic, and there is a part of that Catholic religion that teaches that people are evil and born of evil. And it's just not true. It was the church's way of controlling through fear. That the only way that you can release yourself from being evil is by attending church. And at that point in history, the churches were the most powerful and richest because everybody had to pay to go to church. Okay? So you are not evil in any shape or form. You are pure spirit of love and light. Your human brain is putting things upon yourself that you have the ability through doing shadow work. You might need some support and help with that, and that's fine. But you have the ability to work through that and release whatever it is that you've got there within yourself that you're afraid of. Okay? Absolutely ascending universal butterfly. We are the shining lights. Absolutely.
And that's great. Thank you, Veronica. And all of you would be happy to know that Veronica has already taught to the second to write the second book. And the title of the second book will be Universal Awareness
Oh,
Developing.
yeah, I haven't even started that. I got sidetracked into the totem animals because
Yeah.
Maria, we're not doing readings. Sorry, my love. And if you want to know an answer to something like that, you need to meditate and go within yourself and find the answer within yourself, because you know deep down what that answer is. Okay, right. One of the things about the book is that the awakening book is that some people might find that difficult to access, just going straight into the exercises. And I was guided to do the totem animal book because everything that is within the awakening book in terms of shadow work, journaling prompts, affirmations, each animal is linked to that. So we can use the animals as our aid to our awakening. And that's why I wrote the Totem
Yes.
Animals book. So I did get sidetracked into doing that instead.
But anyway, we wait still for the follow up to Universal Spirit. And yes, Veronica also write Universal Spirit totem animals, and created a beautiful totem animal deck. I saw it, and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And I'm not talking about the totem animals book now, because Veronica will come back for that. Uh, Veronica will be back here on the spiritual chat show um that for that book. And Veronica, one last question. What would you recommend to someone who is awakening, is starting their journey to awakening?
Be gentle
In,
with yourself, because it's a hard journey. You're having to face some difficult aspects of yourself. So be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with people around you. Take time. This isn't something to be rushed. If you rush it, you'll miss the point. It's one of those day to day, slowly, slowly, and giving yourself peace and being kind to yourself on that journey.
Thank you, Veronica. Thank you very much for your answer. Thank you for answering all my questions, and for giving so much information. And please, could you remind us where people can buy the book?
Okay, you can get the physical book from Amazon. Okay, just go onto Amazon, look me up as an author, Veronica Jenkins, and it will bring my books up. Or search for Universal Spiritualism Awakening, and it will come up on Amazon for you. If you want the PDF, you can actually go onto my website, findmeamedium.com/books. And there's quite a few different books on there, not just my own, but Nico's is on there, Colin Walker's is on there, Christine Stewart's is on there, and Sarah McGeechee, she's just written a book that's on there as well. So you can find all of the links to those different books on my website, findmeamedium.com books. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Veronica. Veronica, I really would like to give a heartfelt thank you for being here, for being the first guest for the Spiritual Chat Show. And this is for me has a special meaning, ladies and gentlemen, because I am one of Veronica's readers, as you know, or you might not know, but anyway, I'm one of Veronica's readers. So for me, having Veronica as a first guest was really important, and again, has a special meaning. So I would like to thank Veronica for being here, and for giving us so much information, knowledge, and please, if by the book, because it's well written. There are not complicated terminology. Everything is explained in plain simple English, but it's really it's straightforward. And especially because there are the practice exercises, so you first read the chapter and then you can do the practice, and that will help you in your journey. So Veronica, thank you for much. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you to those who joined us for the live this evening. And I'll hope to see you in 2 weeks' time with a brand new guest at the Spiritual Chat Show. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.